My 30th birthday was the best ever. I actually don't really like birthdays. I'm always having the feeling that maybe I should be doing something bigger, but I don't feel like it, so I'm not doing it. However, my 30th was different. My family made the job and organized everything, which I'm very thankful for. And a lot of my friends flew in from different countries around Europe. I had an amazing day, and I will never forget it. But little did everyone present that day know what was happening inside of me. I was 30, a single woman, and behind in life. I'd always been an overachiever. I used to have the best grades in high school. I went to very good uni, and then I gathered a lot of really interesting experiences which made my CV look pretty okay. But the problem was that I kind of felt lost. I was trying to find my path, but all I had was people trying to put me into a box. And actually what happened is that after a while, since people were always trying to put me in a certain type of category and figure out which specialization I should go to, I started doing the same about myself. So I started thinking about myself as someone to be put into a box, even though until that time in my life, I actually had been fighting so hard against that tendency, trying to not be put in any box, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be everything, experience everything, go everywhere. I mean, I'm maybe a little exaggerating, but I didn't want to be put in a box because I was afraid that this would clearly narrow my way, and then I would have no way out, and I could not just switch. And to a certain extent in nowadays world, it's true. That's what very often happens. But at 30, being single with no clear career path, it also came with total freedom, because you can do whatever, you can start your new self and you have no obligations, so let's do it. Well, sure, but total freedom can also be very scary and feel very overwhelming. And one reason for this is that you have a choice. You actually don't have one choice nowadays, you have 1,000 choices. The problem with that is that we have so many opportunities, and our generation is so blessed in a way that the only person to be blamed if anything goes wrong in your life from then on is you. So it can feel very paralyzing when you have this total freedom and you're responsible for yourself. You and only you. And you're also to be blamed if you regret your choices. The blame's on you, no one else. So it can feel pretty scary, especially when, well, I don't mean it this way to really make it a gender different situation, but I do think that when you're 30 and female, single, it's even a bit tougher on you. A lot of expectations from outside, you can feel them, about finding a partner that you will stay long term with, because you're expected to have kids and you are expected to have all of this quite soon because you're 30 and God knows how long you're able to procreate, right? So you're expected to have a family and you're expected to be good at your career. That's what you're expected to be when you're 30 and a woman. And actually, what I experienced at this stage of my life was somehow a sort of social ego death, I would call it. Because before that, I was pretty easy to put into boxes. People would just ask, what are you studying? What are you working? What's your job? and I would give an answer, and this would be simple enough so that people could just put me in one box. Most of the time for me, the box was quite comfortable because I was an overachiever. So it was this weird paradox of I gave them a box. It's not me at all, because actually that's not even really what I want to do, but that's what I'm doing right now. And it's quite comfortable because it gives kind of a good image of myself socially. So I feel accepted, I feel normal, or even in front in life. And yeah, all of a sudden, 2 years before I turned 30, I quit and decided to go another way. But the problem is that I spent so much time of my life going this pre-made path that I didn't really know what to do and what my path was, actually my unique path. So that's when I started feeling behind, and that's when I went to parties and I went to events and people asked me, so what are you doing? What are you making your living from? And I was like, I don't really know. So I've tried this out, but now I actually went on this way because I figured out that this and that, and question mark. So the problem is a lot of people were as confused as I was myself, and I was very self-critical. So when you are very self-critical, you tend to think that people are very self-critical or are very critical towards you, which most of the time is probably a bit exaggerated. It's all in your head, but that's how it is. And I realized that there's this little voice that was also like, you can start pretending again, you can dive into this road again, this path that you've done before, you know you can do it, and then you're gonna be put into that very comfortable box again. And that's what I realized, that you start feeling behind in life when you start pretending. When you start pretending, you take the risk of either feeling miserable or losing precious time to actually go forward on your proper path. So I got lucky enough that first on my single thing, I learned to let go. So I was like, I'm single, so what? Well, actually, it was a bit more complicated than that. What I actually did is I confronted my fear. I wondered why I was so afraid of not finding a long-term partner. And I ended up just telling myself that what if I would never find someone that I stay long with? What if I would only jump from one short-term relationship to another? And by asking me that, I realized that's not bad. It's just different. So I think a lot of people would not understand it, but that's okay because it's up to me to decide who I will surround myself with. So that's when I realized that there's beauty in that as well. Maybe I don't have a long-term relationship then, but I get to experience a lot of different men over my lifetime, and I fall in love again, and I see so many visions of life and so many different personalities, which to me could be compared a little to traveling. You would be going into a new country, a new culture every few months or every year because you fall in love and you try and understand one unique human being. And that's beautiful. So I started seeing beauty in that. And the irony is, as soon as I let go of this fear and this idea that I must have a long-term partner, I got to meet him. I actually started a relationship, and now it's been 3 years plus, the longest I've ever had. And I know, actually as a matter of fact, that it only worked because I let go. Because I think at this stage I would have freaked him out if I would have confronted him with my fears. When it comes to the career, I still made a few detours. I wasn't really sure where I was going, and I wasn't following fully my instinct right away after 30. It took me 2 more years of trying to fit into a box again, and actually trying to fit into the box that most people have put me in since I was a child. And I think progressively I woke up again and I built up confidence again. And I just thought, all right, this all feels like faking, like not being me. And I confronted my fear when it came to my career. And it was not to be taken seriously if I were to take the path I wanted. Because I know that a lot of naysayers would say that's not possible, and that's not serious, and that's not very intellectual. A lot of things that were bothering me, and I was trying to just push away those thoughts. And one day I just confronted them. I was like, fine, then I will not be serious, I will not be intellectual, and I will just be trying out to do my thing. And what really helped me is actually to differentiate. Here's my career, and that's me. Well, actually, that's me. So me is a very complex thing, while career is something that may be temporary, something that you may just be trying out and experimenting, and it doesn't define you. It's a part of you. It makes one of your experiences, but it doesn't define you. So wherever you are right now, if you're 30 and feeling behind in life, remember this. It's just a screenshot right now. You are just in a moment. And maybe what you're doing right now may seem ridiculous to someone, but maybe in 2 or 3 years, you will have built up on that, and maybe you will be respected and people will see all the qualities in your work that they're not seeing right now. And even if you were to change and finally do something else, remember that there is value in failing and that you are learning something out of this. And what you are doing right now is what will get you there. I think I could summarize all of this in one sentence. I feel less behind since I have stopped trying to follow others' path. Remember, this is important. How can you feel behind in life if you are on your unique path? There's no one in front of you, no one that has had all of these single experiences exactly the same way, that has felt them, seen them the same way. Even if you were to have a twin sister or brother identical that would have grown up in the same household, you are very different. So there is no one in front. And the only way you can feel behind is if you try to follow other people's path. And that's very important. It's obviously very related to this idea of not comparing with others. It makes you miserable anyways, but it also does make absolute no sense. It makes no sense. People are so different. And happiness is not at the end of a very dark tunnel. Happiness it's here. It's right here and right now. So 2 habits that really, really helped me make progress on this path, and I hope will help you too if you're feeling behind in life. First of all, confront your fears. I've learned that actually the hard way. I've gone through panic attacks in the past. There's another video I made about that if you're interested. And what I learned there is, if there's a fear that comes once, it's alright. If it comes twice, it's okay. But if it keeps coming back and it keeps going stronger, then at some point I sit down, I look it straight in the eyes, and I talk. Okay, what's the matter here? What are you afraid of? And then there's a first answer that comes, and then, okay, but why? And why? And why? And I keep going up the stream until I find the proper source, because very often your fear disguises another fear, which disguises another fear, which actually you can come up until you find the proper source. And that's when you can tackle your fear and actually wonder, well, is this fear justified, or is it just my way of seeing things that's actually wrong somehow or too narrow? So that's the first habit that really helped me on my way. And what also was really important, I'm still on this one, but it's helped me so far, is trusting my intuition. You know what's best for you, and you definitely know, you can feel, your body is giving you some feedback, your mind, your head, everything. If you're misaligned with yourself, you will feel it. And if you are one of those people, like I was, who's learned to push away intuition, to, putting a lot of layers on it so that you appear to be more rational and you justify everything, I've done that. Learn to unpack. Really learn to observe. When you're about to take a decision, there's the rational and there's the heart or the gut. What do they say and why, and observe in the past what has served you well and why. So please stop feeling behind, because there is no one in front of you on your unique path. If you've liked this video, I'd be very grateful if you would subscribe. You'd receive my weekly updates and stories, facts on habits especially. And since you've liked this video, I'd also suggest you watch that one.